Okay, happy 2024, everybody.
Woohoo!
Um,
Happy
oh,
cheers.
wait, it's not going onto Facebook for some reason.
It
Let
says
me,
to me that meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
it does? Oh,
That's I
well,
see
cool.
that. Yeah.
I got some weird message. So anyway,
Yeah.
how does it get better than this?
How does it get better than weird messages?
I know.
I just thought of dead
You
people.
can't trust those, mechanical thing. Yeah, it says whatever, this big red X. But
So
okay,
funny.
it's
So,
streaming and
well, I
Zoom
don't
says
see it
it's
on
not.
your page though. So, maybe it's not. It's not in Coffee Talk. Is that where it's going?
Not Coffee Talk. I was going to do it on my CF page.
Okay, let me check there. We might, if you're watching us, hi, if we're out there, hello.
It's so bizarre because
Oh, there you are. We're
Zoom
there.
is it there? Because Zoom says it's not. Okay, fine. We won't listen to Zoom.
Don't listen. Don't listen to Zoom.
Don't listen to Zoom. So, how are you all on the first day of the year? It's just the next day from yesterday, but it's like all of a sudden a really big, significant deal.
Totally. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this so significant to everyone? It's so wild to me.
Well, it gives you a good, even like every week, it gives you a good, like, okay, clear out last week or yesterday, like that's over with. Now what? So, in one way, it's kind of nice because you can just set that stuff down behind you and choose forward. And that's one of the things that I'm really going to prioritize this year is choosing for possibilities.
I love that.
You
And I also
know,
love like the 10-second choice. Like you can actually have a new year start every single day if you want.
so
You can have a
true.
new beginning every moment and you can choose different every 10 seconds of your life if you'd like.
Yeah. And another thing that I've been noticing is like, even when there's nothing going on or you feel really cranky, I just like really enjoy it. I'm like, wow, I am so cranky. This is
Yeah.
amazing. And just
Embrace it.
enjoy it. Like, you don't have to be perfect, happy, upbeat all the time. Those are the people that you hate because they're faking it.
Totally.
If you're getting angry because somebody's like, there's a lie in there somewhere. So
Some kind of lie.
just be real, be who you are,
Be
enjoy the
you.
moment.
Oh my God. I'm having a being you, stepping into being you class this afternoon, and I am receiving so much about just be you. Like you don't have to have an image or a person, you can and I also loved it. Dr. Dane here did a live did some stuff in the last few days because I don't know when exactly or what exactly it was, but he was like in the midst of some stuff. And I was like,
Mm.
thank you for just showing up right in the middle of it. Like everyone loves to pretend everything's great. And then everyone loves to like wait until New Year's and that's when they can create their life. But you actually can do that all the time. You can be you, you can be present with the good, the bad, and the ugly all the time. And you have it's easier to change things when you're present with them than when you're pretending.
You know, Donna, I remember the first time they talked about being you, and I was like, what is that? Who am I anyway? And peeling back the layers of all the people pleasing and all the what you should do and although you can't do that, why would you want to do that? And really getting down to who you truly be, what makes you sparkle, what makes you happy, what makes you shine, even if other people don't understand it. Those are some of the things like when you're being you, when you're happy, even if nothing's going on.
Yeah. And you can even be happy when terrible things are going on.
True.
It's a
True
possibility to
story.
just be joyful even when it seems like everything's crashing and burning around you.
Yeah. And like you might be around certain people and you feel like, ooh, but that's your awareness. It's not necessarily you feeling insecure or feeling strange. It's an awareness of something. So what if you being you showing up around certain people makes them feel uncomfortable because they're not being themselves?
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. I don't know
What
what
do
to
you
say
do
about
in
that.
those
Yes.
situations?
Well, I personally do a lot of different things. I would say more often than not in my life, I have felt weird and like there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
I'm a person who tends more towards wrongness than rightness, and think there I must be wrong about everything in my life, and then I'm terrible and awful, and everything's wrong with me. So that's like that's my standard position throughout a lot of my life. Now, when I'm actually willing to live beyond the judgment of what's wrong with me and what's right with me, that's when I have the question, who does that belong to? And I
Mm.
go, oh, somebody in my neighborhood feels weird right now, or somebody down the street, or somebody I'm really connected to is feeling super strange. I had a conversation with my mom last night, and I was like, why do I feel so weird? Just what is this? This feels weird. And I got all this clarity about all these times in my life that I just was like, came out of conversations like, what? I just feel like I got slimed. And it's because she is sliming me, and I hadn't really acknowledged that. And so it's like getting aware of where there's icky stuff that even people that you love are willing to do to you is not a comfortable place to be, but it's there's a lot of freedom in that too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
totally. I
Yeah.
know. It's like if all of a sudden you feel weird or you feel cranky or you feel like totally different than you were 10 minutes before, you might ask yourself, who did I just talk to? Whose reality have I dived into?
Yeah, spoken or unspoken, because we do a lot like telepathically, we have a lot of conversations and there's a lot of connection that happens beyond this reality. And so you can even be picking up on somebody in where are we at war right now? Isn't there some war going on? There's a war somewhere, and like, you might even be connected to and aware of that. I woke up kind of cranky this morning, and it's
Yeah.
like we're on a the school we're in a on a planet with a lot of other people, and
Yeah.
we're not we don't live in boxes where we're separated. So you can be aware of a lot of
Yeah.
different stuff.
And like, what if it's okay to be happy some of the time, even though there's a war going on? Like, it's not about,
Yeah.
reserving joy for the time when everything's great for everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to pull you out of the slump?
You're never going to get happy if you have to wait for that.
No, no. So,
No.
yeah, like really finding gratitude in whatever,
Yeah.
that you have water to drink,
Yeah.
that you have trees outside and fresh air and sunshine.
Yeah, and I just was thinking about the gift of the access bars too. Like there's bars points that are kind of, if you had leprechaun ears, they're kind of in that position, and they're for kindness, gratitude, peace, and calm. And I was thinking about that this morning, like in the conversation with my mom, I was like, she's trying to do it. Why is it always so weird when says something like nice to me? And then I saw all of her everything she expects out of that. Like she's doing
Mm.
me a kindness, but it's really like I have to compliment her. I have to always give her credit for everything. And I was like, wow, I like true kindness is not necessarily a thing, but I brought up the bars because it's like I have more of a sense of gifting without obligation. Because when you're being you, there is a tremendous gift. You don't, there is no expectation of anything in return. And that's like, I would say like that's more my functioning point is just being a gift. It's not,
Yeah, totally. And I remember years and years ago, I gave Gary, founder of Access, a gift, and it was like the most interesting space when he received it, because it wasn't like he didn't have any obligation. And he's like, when people, not necessarily me, but when people give him gifts with obligation, he's like, I take the gift. I don't take the obligation. It's just,
Yeah.
I know they're wanting this, in return, but I get to choose. And why, wow, like what a,
Julie, that's huge right after Christmas because how many of you guys watching right now are like aware of that obligatory do and get reality that just occurred for the holidays, for Hanukkah, for
yeah,
Christmas, for everything, where you're given something, but it means that you have to do this. There's a lot of means to everything, and I love that story. Like, what if you're not obligated to do anything except be you and choose what is fun for you? I could just
yeah, but
oh Lord.
acknowledging like that you're aware that there is this unspoken obligation, but not being at the effect of it, you still get to choose. So it's okay. And so like for me, that's one of my words for this year is allowance. I'm really going to prioritize becoming the space of allowance. Interesting
Yeah.
point of view for myself, for other people, and see what that creates. Because
Oh,
oh my
so
God.
good. Yeah. It's so funny to try to talk about anything today. It's just I don't know
Mm,
even what to say, but yeah, allowance is a really great space to be where you can that's where you get to have your awareness. And so I think like the standard that a lot of people do is avoid the awareness because you
mm,
don't want to see like in the case of my mom, it's like you don't want to see those obligatory things that people would do, whether they do it consciously or unconsciously. I'm sure my mom is not thinking that she's doing that at all. In her world, that is very kind, you know?
mm,
So you
mhm.
don't really even want to acknowledge your awareness that that's going on, or then you have to judge yourself for even like, oh, I must be judgmental. But it's actually awareness. So we try to avoid the
Yeah,
awareness and not have it. And then you actually tie yourself up and you don't have any choice. You don't get to
that
be.
makes it harder. It totally does. Because if you're willing to be aware of it and not have a point of view about it, not have a judgment about it, and just be like, wow, that's so interesting. They're trying to da, 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 da. Okay. It just floats away and becomes nothing.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
But I think like one of the gifts of you in my life is this sense of presence and timelessness, I would say, because
Hmm.
you've been around choosing access consciousness, choosing greater consciousness for yourself, gifting it, being it in the world for a long time, and there's a timelessness of actual presence in that where there isn't an obligatory like, oh, I'm doing these things and I expect to get this out of it. And I don't know, it's like I'm trying to make words for it, but it's just
Hmm.
this gift of continuing on and just keeping going. Like that's one of the things that the obligatory reality robs you of is the capacity to just keep going because you stop yourself waiting to get a result. I did this, I should get that, and so I'm not even going to keep going because I have to wait now until I get the thing that I presume and expect I'll get. And you can never go beyond, and it's a real drag,
Yeah.
you know. So to me you're a model of that. Also elegance and sparkly beauty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny when you're saying all this, I'm just like, okay. I'm just choosing and going through my life. But I saw this thing on Instagram this morning that Shannon posted, Shannon O'Hara. They planted a whole bunch of trees
Mhm.
and she titled it Creating Futures. And when you look at nature, and she brings this in a lot of times to her classes, nature, it takes centuries to create the glaciers and all this stuff. And trees, like in her post she said in 20 years we'll revisit and see. And it's like if
Yeah.
you could look at the things that you're choosing and creating and not having to have it instantly right this second, some things could show up that quickly,
Yeah.
but having the patience and the presence and the knowing, that if you plant it, it will become a tree
Yep.
that will gift, all kinds of future possibilities, leaves,
Totally.
shade, timber, oxygen, what have
Yeah.
you. And this is your choice and your gift. What if it didn't matter what somebody said today or yesterday? What if
Totally.
what if you knew and you could like go into the future with your awareness and know what you're creating?
Oh my God. I actually bought, do you remember when they were doing trees for futures? And I actually bought a tree and I was doing an access consciousness body process trade with somebody in my healing room. I don't know. But I have these amazing trees in there, a money tree and an avocado tree that like grew so fast. But I also have my certificate of from purchasing a tree for Forest for Futures, and
Oh,
I'm trading. I'm running energy, and the my trees started like talking to me, and they were like, uh, "Look at that! You got a tree at Forest for Futures. Do you know how much we receive from that?" They were like in this total singing communion with
wow.
Eleanor in Costa Rica, and there was like this immense gratitude. And that's not something that is uh, quantifiable by this reality. It's not something that like, I'm sure some people listening right now are probably like, she's crazy. And that's fine. It's like, are you willing to know what you know? Even if nobody else gets it, are you willing to create a future even if no one else gets it? I love comedy and humor. Humor
Mhm.
are like really important and vital to me. If I'm not like finding humor somewhere, I'm probably dying. Like I am black or white. It's like I'm either happy and humored and or I'm dying. But I was watching Dave Chappelle as one of my favorite comedians because he is just I think he's a genius and I will cry always at the end of his shows. There's this message that's like so beautiful. And then this newest special that just came out, it's on Netflix and I think you should all watch it.
I have to check it
Um,
out.
he said he talked about when he started doing comedy 20 or however a long time ago, and he did a show and they started playing music and he had the point of view like ruined me, you're ruining my future, my career. And then he had this conversation and then he with someone and then they got him back on track and he started talking about the future that he created in that moment. Like I knew this was happening at 14 years old. I saw this future. I chose it. I had helpers come along and I just
Mhm.
thought it was genius. But it's like, are you guys willing to know
Well,
what you know and be
yeah.
persistent for it to show up?
And that's one of the gifts that you are to me. Because when I'm just like, oh, you're like, wait a second, Julie, what about this that you've created? Like we need to have people in our lives that acknowledge the unseen stuff that we're being, that we're choosing, that
Yeah.
we're creating.
Yep.
And you're that gift for me.
Oh, thank you, Julie. That's like it's so kind to hear that from people because like for a person like me who generally thinks I'm wrong and terrible and awful and vicious and can find lots of evidence for that in my life, to have someone just acknowledge that that there are things about me that are gifts is like I don't know, I'm just it's melty, it's beautiful,
Mm.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like, you know, life is an interesting adventure. But like this solid reality is not all that there is. And you might think that you're crazy that you hear plants talking or that when your car is like, we're kind of done. You might want to get a new one or whatever,
Yeah.
or where to go for the best bargain or what have you. Like,
Gosh, you're talking about things that are called entities, which I
oh, right.
love. I love to talk about entities and like looking at your background is so beautiful. It's like we live in like Beauty and the Beast. Like everything can talk to you all the time. Everything. Your car can be like you can be in another state or another place in the world and your car can be like, "Hey, by the way, I require something.
Yeah.
And that's a weird conversation, but I know that you're a talk to the entities facilitator. And so that facilitation for talk to the entities, and I've done the class a bunch of times. And it's just like this whole universe where you get to acknowledge that you're part of a conversation, and that things are singing and talking, and some of them are cranky, and some of them are not saying happy things, and some of them are ghosts, and some of them are furniture, and some of them are antiques, and you can actually join that conversation.
Yeah. And you know, it's so surprising what it opens up. I was just looking over my list. I have a list of miracles I created, and I started it years ago, and I add to it all the time. And I added something to it, and I looked back at this year, last year. And there was one session where I was working on a woman who had shoulder pain. And so I was doing her bars or facelift or something. I can't remember what. And so I just started asking her questions about it because she's had massages and like it wouldn't go away. And I said, "Is it an entity?" And she's like, "Oh my God." And, you know, a lot of times people think entity, eek, put up the barriers. I don't want to know about it. It's going to be scary, bad, or wrong. But
Especially with bodies, like
especially with bodies. And
especially.
like, how is it that my shoulder hurting can be an entity? Okay, well, it's an entity awareness. And when when we lowered the barriers and asked questions when we're willing to receive, it was like this pouring of bliss into the room, into her body, into my body. It was like, oh my God, I had never perceived anything so beautiful. It was like a fountain or a waterfall of bliss. And she was just like, oh my God, why have I been resisting that? We just don't know. We don't ask the questions. Oh, my shoulder hurts. What did I do? I must have pulled it. Like we're so rational and logical. We're not asking questions. And so we're missing out on this amazing bliss possibility that entities might want to be contributing.
God, that's a beautiful story. That is such a beautiful story. I've had like a lot of body stuff going on, that's been increasing in intensity, and I've been, I'll be like, well, I got to go to the doctor, or it's this. I'll immediately conclude what it is, and then I was house sitting, and I put on an old Talk to the Entities thing that was about bodies and entities, and I was like, what? I didn't even ask. And I've been doing this shit for a long time. I didn't even ask. And like immediately I was like, oh my God, it's like entity stuff. Like, holy cow. And this is the gift of having helper friends in your life too, is like you forget that there's all these different questions that you could ask. You get
Mhm.
into a rut around like these are the four questions that I ask, and then it's like, wait a second, maybe there's something more that I could look at here,
Yeah, I think we're joking or we're fooling ourselves that we're actually asking questions because we've already decided
Totally,
this is
totally.
what it is. Like, what would it really be like to
Just
question?
speaking about miracles, Julie, I need to start a miracle thing. I have like bought into this idea of humility really dynamically, and so I'm not a braggart, but I work on bodies. I do coaching. People tell me all the like I have clients who will tell me all the time like I've had this for years and it's gone. Like, and it's so normal to me to create miracles in people's lives that I don't even really acknowledge it. And I definitely fucking never brag about it. And I
Well,
never
no,
tell them
but you write it down and have it for
to
yourself
myself. Yeah,
because
and to
that,
acknowledge
like, you
it.
look at it when you feel like a piece of shit, and then you're like, wait a second.
I know I need to start doing
I
that.
created all this stuff. I mean, it is weird. Like they just did this facilitator spotlight thing, and I had no idea. I had just sent in my report at the end of the month, which I don't do all the time,
Yeah.
and wrote about this one person, and they like started this new facilitator spotlight, and I'm like, oh wow, cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, but it it just you're just being you, doing your thing, and
And you
amazing
don't,
goes
you
up.
just, you don't realize how miraculous you are. All of you watching
Right.
right now are miraculous. You would absolutely not have stuck in this conversation this long if you're not a walking, talking miracle. Like that's for certain, you know?
And instead of saying, well, no, I'm not, just ask yourself, well, where am I a miracle? What miracle do I be in the world? And don't try to answer that. Wait for the awareness to come.
Julie, do you ever run clearings on here? I want to do a
Sure.
clearing. Oh, cool. Okay, so what is the value of hiding miracles from you? What is the value of hiding your
Ooh,
miraculous from yourself? Did
yes,
any
yes.
of you decide that you would hide consciousness and hide miracles from everyone so they couldn't judge them, define them out of existence? And everyone includes you. And everything that is times a godzillion, will you uncreate and destroy it all?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povads and beyonds.
That,
Wow, that's a
that
good
was that was really intense. Apparently, I'm not the only one who vowed to hide miracles for all eternity.
one.
It's brilliant, really.
Yeah, and not hiding it doesn't mean that you shout it and you try to prove it and push it in other people's faces. For you to just know
Yeah.
is like the greatest thing. It actually exponentializes your ability when you know and you don't have to say.
Yeah, and if you share it with people that can't receive it, then they do weird energetic stuff that you pick up. So, how many of you guys have done this? And I know we're about over this with this live, but how many of you guys have been so miraculous and somebody judged it, and so you judged yourself out of existence because you were picking up on their shit and everything
Mhm.
that is? Will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Right and wrong, good and bad. Pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, poets and beyonds.
That's a
Oh
good
my
one.
goodness.
I'm gonna hide miracles from all the judgy assholes in the world and myself too. Not the brightest choice
Mm.
ever. So, what else is possible? What would it take to actually be able to live as the miracle that you are, not have to hide it, and also be savvy enough to know when you can share it and it's going to grow and when not to share it? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povads and beyonds. And
Cool.
what if being a miracle is just an interesting point of view? It's not significant, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's not a place for you to judge yourself. It's just knowing what you be.
Yeah.
Everything that doesn't allow that.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. I needed that one. Thank you. Apparently, I've made miracles significant.
Hmm.
They tried to make them matter and define
Yeah.
them. You can't really define a miracle. That's a funny thing.
No, it's just super cool. But like if you get too into the significance, it so sticks you. I have some great talk to the entities stories about making it significant, but I will not do that anymore. But you have to take a talk to the entities class to find out what that is.
Yeah, and you have one. Don't you have one coming up?
I have one in Mexico in February. Yes, Mexico City. And we're doing it at this huge mansion and it's gorgeous. And I'm so excited.
Wish I had a sombrero.
And it'll be warm.
That's exciting. Last time I was talking to someone does a lot of talk to the entity stuff, who was in Mexico City, and the entities there were so loud. I was like, whoa, she had to get a help friend for that one because it was really intense there. So if you are around Mexico, or you are looking for a little more ease with the intensity of entity activity in Mexico, perhaps take Julie's class. And also, before we get off, Julie and I have been playing with something that maybe we can just pop this into your ear a little bit so you can listen, get big ears and listen for more on this. Julie and I have been creating something called persistence of vision, which is a gift that I think both of us are for each other in terms of planting seeds and allowing them to grow. So being persistent in your vision, trusting yourself, like you were talking about planting a tree, knowing that in 20 years it's going to come to fruition, and never giving up on you.
Never giving up. Never giving up. Never giving up.
Never give up, never get. They just posted a meme from Gary, like, or did you see that? Like Gary having all this gratitude, and his point of view is never give up, never quit, never give in. And it was so timely because that's been on both of our collective energy universes right now. So
Mhm. So that's going to be a 3-month journey, and we're starting in February. So we'll be posting about it. You can
Yeah.
look for more information or ping either one of us. Yeah, I'm excited about diving into that subject.
Dude, I just in the creation of it, we have been talking a lot. I cannot what I'm receiving from this creation already is life changing. Like just personally, I'm like, wow, if I never gave up on myself, and it's never too late because there's places where I look at where I have given up on myself and I'm like wanting to lash myself about that. And it's like, nope, it's a new 10 seconds right now. What can I
Yep.
choose right now? So I'm really excited for it. And this is great. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got to run to my other group and do
Yeah,
a standing
I
exercise. Thanks
love
everybody for
you.
joining, and we will talk soon.
Yes. Okay, bye, honey. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.